So when it comes to fluorocarbon applications, pretty much any bait that sinks is your easiest way to look at it. If it sinks, you probably want on fluorocarbon if you're not around heavy cover. Then you're talking braided line. But jigs, worms, even crankbaits. I throw most of my crankbaits on lighter fluorocarbon, 10 to 12 pound. And then when you're talking heavier cover, docks or flipping laydowns with wood, I always use 16 to 25 pound fluorocarbon.
So when we're catching fish, we always talk about depth and speed of retrieve. You can throw a 1/2 ounce chatterbait on 16 pound T7, and at 1 retrieve speed, it'll run at 4 feet. If you drop down to 14 pound at the same retrieve speed, it's going to run at 5 or 6 feet. So paying attention to these little details is gonna put more fish in your boat when you're using the right fluorocarbon with the right technique. So when we drop down to the 12 to 8 pound and even 6 pound class, I'm starting to get into my spinning rod combos, jerk baits, just more of those finesse applications, Nico rigging, Ned rigging, finesse swim baits, you name it. And probably my most go-to poundage for just finesse applications is 10 pound test. If you want to drop shot, you can drop shot. If you want to throw finesse swim baits, you can throw finesse swim baits. So if you just had to pick one spool for finessing and you're co-angling or you're just fishing on the weekend, go with 10 pound. If you're fishing over cover and structure, go with 12. And vice versa. If you're up north and you have deep, clear water and you don't have a problem with structure, maybe drop down to 8 or 6.
The thing that I've noticed about it, just talking to buddies at campgrounds and stuff when we're traveling, is not just how strong it is and how much I like fishing it, but when you start comparing diameters, you know, our 8 pound diameter is basically most people's 6 pound. Our 10 pound is most people's 8 pound. So if you're looking for a finesse line, this is it. I mean, it's thin, it's strong, it's no memory, it's everything you want, and it's smaller. But we also cover a large range. You know, this is 6 pound all the way up to 25 pound in the T7. So anything you need, if it's baby finesse fishing, if it's power fishing, if it's flipping, punching, we got you covered. And it's still at an affordable price. There's also braid, but braid is all not created equal. A lot of braids are, you know, they're really stiff coming out of the box. They don't go on a spool real well. You know, you have to fish them for a couple of weeks for it to ever happen, for them to get soft enough to make long casts with. This is not that braid. This braid, you can immediately put it on a reel, especially spinning reels, where you'll notice it the most. You put it on a spinning reel, tie you a leader to it, and you can take it and fish it the next day in a tournament. You don't have to worry about breaking your line in.
Yo-Zuri Super Braid holds its color real well. It's abrasion resistant like you want a braided line to be, because generally with braid you're throwing around heavy cover, especially the heavier size. 50 pound is probably, just to simplify my braid selection, I use 50 pound for pretty much all heavy cover applications, between frogging, flipping, anything like that I know I'm gonna be pulling some big fish out of some heavy cover. When we talk other applications of braid, for my finesse spinning gear, I go down to either 10 or 15 pound Yo-Zuri Super Braid. The 10 or 15 is, with the small diameter of this line and the manageability, it works great on a spinning rod. You can put it on a 3,000 size reel, reduce your wind knots, and cast farther than you've ever casted before.
So the nice thing about Yo-Zuri is they make 3 different colors. I choose green for the grass fishing in Florida and Guntersville and stuff like that. Also my spook fishing. That is what I'm using. But for the high vis spinning reels, we got a couple different options. We have blue and high vis yellow. For the blue, this is gonna be for your northern guys that have really clear water. In my mind, when I think about it, blue, same color as the sky, and it silhouettes really, really well up against the surface of the water. And if you have really finicky fish and you're doing like braid to leader, I highly recommend blue. And then this is almost essentially what I use all year long, is the high vis yellow. You can see on my reel, and this has been spooled probably 6 months. So you're gonna be able to get a spool of high vis yellow, spool it up on your spinning reels, and I bet you fish half the time as I do. It'll last you all year.
One of my favorite ones for finesse fishing is 15 or 20 pound Yo-Zuri Super Braid in the high vis yellow. That allows me to tie a leader on there and get a lot better connection straight to the fish, but with that high vis line, I can see those really subtle bites. I can tell when that fish gets it. It allows me to catch more fish just by being able to see my line. I'm always going to have a braid main line with a fluorocarbon leader when I'm finesse fishing, and the Yo-Zuri Super Braid is the line for that.
The Yo-Zuri Super Braid
It's a really smooth braid, man. I don't have it digging down into itself in the reel, which is a great thing and an issue with a lot of braids. And not only that, man, dude, it casts a mile. That's another great advantage with the Braid. Cast a mile on my bait caster, on my spinning reels, I can really get a lot more distance. They have 3 awesome colors, whether you want the yellow, the blue, or the green. They've got one for you. Awesome line, I've been using it for years. I promise you'll be happy with it.